Hey everybody, welcome to the next to last week of MuseScore. This is the second tutorial of two. Hopefully you've already done a lot of work entering your drum set part. If you've completed your drum set part, great, that'll make this super easy. If not though, you'll be able to at least follow along and see what I'm doing. I encourage you to get through the first page and then come back and do this video with me if you'd like. It'll save you some time later. But worst case, if not, you can always come back and use these techniques later. Here's our goals. When you look at this section here, this is my typed in notation, and then you look at the main part, you're going to notice things such as there's only, I guess it's 5 measures on the first line here. That one actually lines up. But then on the second line, the double bar that I have here is at the end here. Then I come over here and I see that the 11, which is right here, which we don't have yet, is actually on this line. So things don't line up very well and they look crowded. It looks busy. The notation looks super full, whereas this chart looks pretty clean. Well, most of these skills turn out to be quite easy. So our goals today is to be able to make things look a lot more like the actual chart. So let's start with the simplest part, which is just making sure that the stabs are in the right place. So first things first, measure 10 should end this measure. This turns out to be a very easy thing to do. There's a couple different ways to go about it. We can go about it through the layout tool. Let me close some of these so we have more room to see. The layout tool, which is the bottom here. If you're missing this, add palette and add the layout palette. And I can click this little arrow and that puts that at the end of the line. That's one option. The other option I find I use more frequently. So let's use that on the next one. End of measure 16, which is right here. If you simply hit enter there, it accomplishes the same thing. So let's take a moment and just go down and mark all of these correctly. The double bar is the next spot. The next spot is 2 bars after that. The next spot is right before the notation. And then we have that one actually comes out in the right spot. Now we have this other thing. We have 2 stabs that ended up at the bottom here when they really should be at the top of the next page. So let's see if we can get them in the right spot. We do this using the page break tool. So I want to click the last bar at the end of the page and then this little page icon, click that, and now everything looks nice and neat, and notice my spacing already looks amazing and all that. And if you look at the second page is now in the right spot. I do need to add a page break here to really match it. Okay, so now we've gotten all the way through the first page. If we look back here, we see that everything is in the right spot. All the way down to the bottom, the formatting is good. Okay, next up, let's deal with these rehearsal numbers. To create a rehearsal number, click the bar you want to add it in. And then we want text because this is a kind of text. And the rehearsal numbers look like this. When you click it, MuseScore is going to assume you want an A. That's its default mode. And then if I create another one, let's go down to 27, which is right here, and create another one, it gets a B. But there's this really handy little feature with MuseScore. I'm going to delete my B here. If I click in here, I can edit it. And I'm going to change it to be 11. And then I'm going to hit escape to get out, change it to be 11. Now, interestingly, MuseScore understands what you meant to do here. They recognize, oh, that's measure 11, and you just typed in an 11. So if you add another rehearsal marking, it's smart enough to know, and will just automatically put the correct rehearsal markings in place. So from here on out, I don't even have to think about it. When I put a rehearsal marking in because I took the time to match, it'll automatically give me the correct one. So continuing on, 51, and then we need 67, which is right here. And then we need 85, which is down here. And I want to show you one that doesn't quite work correctly. So let's go to, let's see, where's a good one here? Let's go find 135. So I didn't get this far in the piece, but that's all right. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. There's measure 35. Let's put measure 35 at the beginning of a line, measure 135. I'm going to go ahead and give it a rehearsal marking. Out of the box, yours are going to look like this. You're going to have the rehearsal number, and then right below it, a little dinky number. You notice we don't have that number here. Getting rid of it is really easy. It's probably what you would have thought to do anyways. Simply highlight it and hit delete. MuseScore even updates the formatting. I don't know if you caught it, but when I did that, it repositioned the staff. So it's gotten really smart about laying everything out. I happen to really love that about this software. So that's what I did with all of these guys. I went through and I deleted the little number that would have been below each one of them. Sometimes you don't have to, like with the 43 in the middle of the line, it's not an issue. There are ways to add these little rehearsal numbers. We're not going to get into that here, so I honestly don't like them. I think they add a lot of clutter, but they can be helpful, and some people really swear by them. So if you like these, just look up measure numbers. There's lots of tools that'll let you do this sort of thing. Okay, now func is a style marking. That's something that really needs to go out to the entire group. So I entered this with system text. Then I entered groove, which is an instruction just for the drummer to groove. I did that with staff text since it's just for the drummer. MuseScore automatically sorts things, system, and then staff text. So if you enter these as system and then staff text, you'll get them in there correctly. Now yours are going to come out with standard notation. If I want to change that, oops, not page settings, I want format style. And this is down here under text styles. And under text styles, I have everything like my tempo markings. I have, I don't know, subtitles, titles. And you can get things like repeat text. This is how we'll change a DSL coda. Rehearsal marks. I change my rehearsal marks to Muse Jazz text, which is why mine looks like that. And then you might have your system text, which I've also changed to Muse Jazz text. Let's test this for a second. Edwin is the default. So I'm going to type in Edwin and OK this, and it's a system text. So now my system text, which is my tempo markings, are all in the Edwin font. Let's go back to that. Format style, text styles, and I want my system text. To change it back, I'm going to go here. I hit M for Muse. It just gets me to the M's. And I want Muse Jazz text. And when I OK that, it turns it all into the handwritten styles. I can do that for literally everything on here. Everything can be changed into it. I have had trouble with the tempo one. When I switch the tempo one over, it doesn't seem to work very well. So I go into properties and I edit it here. I've had better luck with that. Oops, I did it wrong. Let's try that again. Back into properties and I go to M here and I select Muse Jazz off of this list. And that should have worked. Why is that not working? Let's try this again. Oh, I see. I was actually in it. It was trying to change an individual character. All right, so mental note, if you double click it, which I must have done accidentally, then it's trying to edit and it was only changing where the cursor was. I want to change the whole thing, so I just need to select the whole thing. All right, there's only a couple other little things we need to know to be able to finish out layout. If we keep going forward, and let's do that here. Let's get our second page looking good. So we have the first 7 bars here, and then we have 2 bars of that kick drum part. And then we go to end of solo with alto sax, so that one's fine. We go to the end of those hits, so that's fine. And then we get here. Now I had to do something funny here, and I forgot to reset this, so I didn't get to show you from scratch. But it's really important that I show you how this actually works, because this is an easy thing to mess up. In fact, let's see if I can get it to do it. Do what I saw earlier. That's interesting. Okay, so it's funny because on my laptop, this doesn't format correctly. So let me show you how to do this just in case you have the same problem I had. So when I was creating this, this section, this last bar was sitting on the next line. You may have the same problem. I ended up highlighting this region, and then I came under Properties, Appearance, and I changed my measure width. By reducing the measure width, it squished everything together. And by doing that, it automatically fit all of these stabs on here. The reason I have to do this is because these are too snug for MuseScore's definitions. When MuseScore was setting this up, it set up rules that made it too wide. You'll notice even on the Finale one, this looks pretty crushed. It's pretty squeezed in there together. And Finale doesn't like this, and MuseScore doesn't like this. So to make that look better, I had to come in here and I had to mash it in with measure width. When I did that, it automatically fixed it. I'm sorry I'm not able to demonstrate that here, but if you have the same problem, try messing around with this measure width property setting. You'll have to select the region you want to edit, everything you want on the same staff, and then you'll just mess with that measure setting. It helps if your layouts is already correct. So just to be safe, I'm going to add my layout break right there. I can also just do that in general on all of these if I want. That keeps things from moving around as I make adjustments. Okay, there's only one other thing I can think of that might confuse you. Well, maybe 2. let's do two things. I'm going to put the 2 coda marking in here, which is done under repeats and jumps. 2 coda, and it bumped my rehearsal marking out of the way, so I'm just going to drag it until it looks like it's in a pretty good spot. That looks pretty good to me. And notice that it automatically updated my rehearsal marking. Excellent. I can do the same thing here with my sign. Let's put in the sign. Sign is in a funky spot. Let's see where they put the sign. They put it over the text. Let's do the same. Let's put the sign over the, oops, I put it in the wrong spot. It's supposed to be in 27. There we go. And now I'll put it over the funk text there. And it'll update my rehearsal marking accordingly. And I can move this around as I need to. Like whatever looks good to you is fine. So that's how I do it. MuseScore will automatically format anything you haven't manually moved. If you manually move something, it sort of breaks the rules there. I need that at the end of the bar line. And then last but not least, I had to use a little trick. Right here, I have a rest. That's the only way you can enter this rhythm. And if you got frustrated trying to enter this, I get it. You probably have a half rest that you gave up on right there. To get rid of this half rest, come into Properties and uncheck Visible. By doing that, that note's now hidden. It won't print, but we can still see it's there. And now it will look exactly like that. Okay, that should give you the skills to do everything you see here. There shouldn't be anything left that you're unable to do. There's going to be a few little MuseScore only things, like for instance, adding this sign in here. I haven't found a way to do that gracefully other than just creating my own text. You could do that, but if you want to use their tools, you won't be able to put that sign there. By default, also, the coda word doesn't show up after this. I'm really okay with you just using DSL coda and just the coda sign, which are the MuseScore defaults. If you want to get really picky and you want to really explore, you can create your own markings, but it's tricky to locate these characters. So I'm going to say, don't beat yourself up over it. If you've got it looking pretty close, you should be good. I'll be grading you on the following. The notation should look good. Your kick drum part should have the rests formatted properly. I want to make sure I see my little fours hiding over these notes so it's really, really clear where the phrasing is. I want to see you take the time to fix the formatting on this and on the 2 coda so that everything looks nice and clean. And I want to see the entire piece laid out properly. Look for opportunities. See these 2 bars are the same as these 2 bars? Copy and paste. Don't re-enter things that you don't have to. When I get to the very beginning, that complicated part here, well, that's the same thing here. So once I enter that once, just paste it. You won't have to do it again. It happens again here. I think it even happens again closely at the end. Yeah, this is very similar. You know, this is a 4-bar phrase that just happens twice. So you can swipe this, which is the first 3 bars, the same. You'll see that right here. First 3 bars are the same. That's just a bar of slashes. And then just copy and paste it again. Save yourself time. Don't duplicate work if you can avoid it. This is tedious and slow. Copy and paste is really simple. All right, I hope that helps everybody. I hope your parts are going to start looking a lot cleaner now. And I hope you feel empowered to make things that actually look almost like professional notation. Next week is the final week of notation. It is by far the biggest challenge of the entire class. It's a 2-week-long project that takes some time. We're going to be recreating a full score and parts for a ballad. Budget your time wisely. But for this week, I hope everything made sense. I hope it's all working for you, and I hope you have good luck and maybe even a decent amount of fun entering this music. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time.